that? Good morning, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. And if I do this right, I have a cat on my head. Can you see the cat on my head?
And just as we were going live, there was a cat crying. And if you may have seen my husband just behind me letting the cat out.
The cat wrangler? In our house, we have a rule where if you're the one who's doing the video thing, then the other person should be the cat wrangler. Because the cats, they know, like, it's a magnet. They come to you when you're doing something.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Well, where's your St. Patrick's Day garb, or do you not participate?
Okay, so I don't really. I do. I definitely do participate. This is the greenest thing I own clothing wise. I don't know how that happened, but maybe I don't look good in green. But so I have my shamrock earrings on.
Oh yes, very cute.
My dad actually brought these back for me from Ireland when he was on a business trip, and I was like, I don't know, 12 maybe. So I wear them every St. Patrick's Day. And also I have this lovely ring, which I think kind of looks like it should be like I should be a Disney villain with the poison in the ring. Like you should be able to open the cap of it and pour the poison into the But I think this was my grandmother's ring, and I have no idea if it could be one of those. I had the grandma who had really expensive jewelry, and then she had like costume jewelry, and it was all just kind of jumbled together. So you never knew, like, if she gave you something, if it was something you had to take good care of, or I mean, I take good care of everything she gave me, but like, is it worth something, or was this like, a little trinket? But that's what.
Yeah, we'll just count it as valuable because it came from grandma.
Exactly. It always has value to me. So how about you? I see you're rocking some green today.
I have green. This is, I think, the only green thing I may have in my wardrobe. So
green. You and I think are both jewel tone people. Like, if you ever remember when it was a thing to get your colors done? Did you ever have your colors done?
It was sort of in the ether, but I don't think that I ever had it done.
I know. I don't think I did either, but I could just tell you right up, like, I don't do pastels, although this to the contrary. But this is rare for me. I prefer jewel tones. But like my friend Nancy, she is a pastel girl. That's what she says. It goes with seasons too. Like, she's a spring, and that's what you get. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you what season I am, but I can co-sign the idea that those light colors, I feel very washed out. So
yeah, they tend to make me feel like a little pale. So okay, we need to. Can somebody else please do our colors and our seasons for us? Because we're dying to know. This is going to dictate everything I do from here on out in my life. So get it right. I need to know season.
I thought you were going to ask for a reminder about what we were talking about today, but we did remember because this topic actually came from last week's discussion. Remember last week we were talking procrastination and our procrastination, our kids' procrastination, all that stuff. And we were talking about what we do when your kid won't do what they're supposed to do. And we were talking about taking away screen time. And what did parents do before screen time could be taken away?
No Saturday cartoons for you. That would have been a big one.
And then we got into the thought, like, discipline seems to have changed. Even if you are doing the like take away a privilege kind of discipline, that the content has changed since we were kids. Because
you have to update the playbook just a little bit. I mean, maybe some things are evergreen. I don't know. Like, I'm really curious to know if grounding is still a thing. Do people still do grounding? I got grounded repeatedly. I don't know about you. Did you ever get grounded?
I don't know, because I was very good. No, but let's step back. No, I'm just kidding.
This should surprise no one who knows Sharon.
No, I got punished. We'll get there. But let's just step back for a second and think about the past year. You can't ground someone during COVID because they're already grounded by law.
I know, worst punishment ever for everybody, right? Like, you're grounded, but still, can you get out of my sight for a while? Because we've been together for a year.
And now a lot of kids, I've heard this from a lot of families, the kids don't want to go anywhere. They're kind of like, I don't want to go back to school. It's fine. Like, we're doing like the opposite of grounding. We're going to have to say, you're going to have to go out there and see friends. We're going to have to push them.
my mom, that was a constant in her playbook. It wasn't a punishment. It was just a coping strategy. It's a nice day, go outside, snap off the TV, out you go. I mean, that was just so. I mean, that was our version of having screen time limited. Is you had your half hour of Saturday morning cartoons, and then it was like, get out.
Yeah.
I don't care. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Is kind of what it was.
I should do that more. Is kick my kids outside. Sometimes it feels a little harder as they get older. You know, if they're not specifically playing basketball or something like that, it's like the one it says, "Well, I'm just going to take my book outside." Then I said, "Okay, take your book outside."
I would be all over that. Exactly. Here, can I set up a blanket for you? What? I'll bring you snacks. Go. If you're going to go read a book outside, I'd be like, yay, go do it.
You know, Jen, when you said your mother did this not as a punishment, that also made me think of me saying to my child about other things, I'm not punishing you. And it usually has to do with limiting screen time. And the response is usually, yes, you are. You're punishing me because you think I didn't do X, Y, or Z. And I'm trying to, I don't know why I'm trying to say I'm not punishing them. I'm trying to avoid that. Like, maybe make me not the bad guy. Say, not punishing you.
That falls under the beat. Thou dost protest too much. If you have to say it's not a punishment, it's probably
maybe. I'm trying to spin it. It's like, I'm just trying to help you prioritize because you're getting older and you might need some structure.
I like that.
Some structure around that screen time so that you can prioritize, but it's not a punishment.
Well, that brings me to something I wanted to mention, which is my kids, at least one of them, got to a point in her teen years where she actually requested to be grounded a couple of times because they gave her an out on something. She gave her a pass with friends on something she didn't really particularly want to do. So she'd say, she'd come to me and say, my friends are planning something that's kind of dumb and I don't really want to do it. I don't think it's a good idea. So would you mind grounding me this weekend? I'm like, sure, you're grounded, no problem. And then I could hear on the phone with the kids, yeah, I wish I could, but my mom grounded me. I'm going to clean my room, blah, 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 blah. So happy to play the role of bad cop anytime I was in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would definitely.
I was born to play.
We haven't actually gotten to grounding as punishment yet here, but I would definitely do it if one of them was going out and doing something they weren't supposed to do. And they would lose the ability to go anywhere because they have shown that they can't be trusted. Yeah.
As I mentioned, I was grounded repeatedly. I mean, not like consistently, but.
What ages are we talking about, Jen?
Okay. Well, I can remember some very distinct ones. I was grounded. I think my first grounding was at 7. And then I had another significant grounding event at 10. And then I had probably the most serious grounding event at 16. And what all of these events had in common was that I wasn't really even doing anything bad. It was that I had failed to notify my parents of my whereabouts. Mm-hmm. And what I did not realize, and you don't realize until you become a parent, is just how frightened they are. They were upset because not that I did anything bad per se, but that they had to worry. And then once the relief comes in, the anger swiftly follows. It's like, how could you have not told us? We were worried sick. You made your mother worry. It was always, my mom was the disciplinarian in our family, but when you were really, really in the doghouse, it was my dad who had to come to put the boom down. And it was always your mother. Your mother is very upset. Your mother is very worried. And that's when you're like, oh, I'm in trouble. So that was the common denominator. I get it now. I didn't get it then. Probably a lot of kids don't. It's like, in these cases, everything I did was like a series of just unfortunate events in my life. Like I made one bad choice that wasn't serious, but then I had to make other bad choices to try to keep my parents from knowing about it. Like they say, it's not to cover up.
I don't think my brother would mind me sharing this story he was probably about 12 or so. And the baseball team went out for pizza after baseball. And the coaches,
What could possibly go? That sounds wholesome. What could possibly go wrong?
Coaches were driving people to the pizza parlor, but my brother had ridden his bike to practice the game or whatever it was. There's no cell phone. And he didn't want to leave the bike there, I guess. I don't know what he was thinking. So he rode his bike to the pizza place along this really busy road that was not bike appropriate. And my parents, I believe, had no idea where he was.
Yeah,
and
this all sounds really familiar to me.
it was getting dark and all this stuff. So he was grounded from his bike for the entire summer. And I think this happened in like probably May or something. And so it was a pretty serious grounding back in those days, you know, if you lost your bike for the whole summer.
I know that your wheels were your independence. So if you couldn't use that, I mean, that's
right. But what I'm wondering is, did we get these kind of situations now? Because more so kids have phones. I mean, maybe the phone could die, but, you know, so either you can text or call them or the kid can text or call you. And then a lot of parents have tracking. One of my kids' friends has tracking, and they were going out walking around the other day, and that kid's mom called and said, I see that you're not, you know, where you guys said you were going to be. So,
so was that a punishable offense, I wonder?
I don't know. I think it might have just been a summons home, but
it might have been just a little warning shot across the bow. Like, just so you know, I know that you're not where you said you were going to be.
Right.
But right. So, you know, I think what happens now is that kids, they might more get in trouble because they either turn their phone off or they, you know, they might say they're one place and leave their phone there and then go someplace else. So I think it's probably more a matter of deception that if that right. gets out, like I said, it's, you know, it's the cover up that gets you in trouble every time.
Absolutely. So. There was a story somebody told about leaving the phone in one place to pretend they weren't in the place where they weren't supposed to be. You know, the phone was left at school while the kid went and did something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting too, Jen, is how, like, can we talk about how discipline changed from when your own kids were little? Like, you know, did you ever do the timeouts? And like, how do you transition to like disciplining teenagers who are doing different things, who are physically bigger, you know?
It became really challenging. And my kids were, you know, they didn't push a lot of buttons. There were not a lot of instances where I had to really lay down the law, but it becomes a power struggle, and they become really good at like advocating for themselves, like telling you why it's unfair what you're punishing them for. Like when they're little, they act out because they're unhappy that you called them on their shit. But when they're older, they can tell you all the things, and they can throw it back in your face and be like, but you do blah, 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 or you never did this for my sibling. Or, I mean, they're full of reasons and excuses why what you're doing to them is unfair. So it becomes hard not to get mired in that. And then you understand why sometimes it came down to, for our parents, I don't care. You're doing it because I'm the parent, and that's
right. Right. Carol has a comment here, like what we were talking about. It is about personal integrity. It's about honesty. You know, I think it can help and sometimes also make them feel bad. When we say, I was counting on you, I expected more. So, but then sometimes that's not enough. And yeah, there's consequences. Taking the phone away until complete. That's the kind of situation, Carol, where I would say it's not a punishment. I'm helping you concentrate. But who am I kidding, right?
Yeah. Well, and Molly also was chiming in. She says nowadays it's mainly no screens is the punishment. However, this can backfire. Yeah, it can. Especially, I want to tell you about the time we thought we were being so clever as parents. Right around middle school is when kids seem to discover the wonder of group chat.
Oh yes, it's a big middle school thing.
Has entered your life. You'll know what I mean. It is like it's all consuming. It's this wide social circle of kids. Some of them they don't even know, but they get added to this massive group chat, and all of a sudden it's like constant conversation always going on. They have to know what's being said, and the phone might end up where in the bedroom where it shouldn't be at night and on at all hours. And that was happening for one of our kids. So we said, you know what? We're just going to help everybody turn, kind of turn off the we're going to turn off the Wi-Fi at time because we all should unplug. And it was like a disconnected a limb, you can't do that. I need it for my homework. And, it was, I think it lasted about a week and we were like, okay, this is clearly not the right way to go about it. It's, as we now know, the quote unquote right approach is to try to get them to self-monitor and to realize how they feel better when they can disconnect. But it's a process.
So hard. I mean, come on.
I mean,
I teenagers
put my phone down.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, there's the rat in the cage with pressing the bar. Oh, what is it?
Well, we all know that they create it so that it's like that little pellet and where the rats,
Absolutely.
It's made to be addictive. But anyway, what happened when you turned off the Wi-Fi? Did it work?
No, it didn't work. This very clever kid figured out a workaround. And there are many ways to do it. But in this case, I think it was an old iPod we didn't know about that could be, was it iPod or I think it was an iPod that's just somehow figured out you could get messages on, or there was threats of getting getting her own hotspot. I mean, she was determined. So it was like, this is not the right way. All of a sudden, we just realized, okay, just taking it away isn't the right way. We need to have a discussion about a personal integrity is really what it comes down to.
Like Carol said.
Right.
In the comments.
Absolutely.
Now, Jen, have you ever fined a child?
I've not done that. We tried to withhold allowance, but then we're so bad about remembering to give it away that it was sort of counterproductive. So we were always in the hole. How about you? Did you have this experience and did it work for you?
Well, I was fined. Yes, it would always go.
Yeah. I want to hear all the things that you did that were bad, Sharon.
Oh, I don't even remember I don't know. You could do anything. Well, if we got fined, it was the fine was collected and made a charitable donation by my parents.
It's like when you park too long at the mall and they donate change to charity.
The quarters from the parking meters go to charity or something like that. But we would get fined for all manner of things, including flopping on my parents' bed and messing up the bedspread. And
how dare you, you rapscallions, you.
It was a whole economy, and I haven't even scratched the surface. There was a whole, when we were younger, there was a whole point system where you had to have a certain number of points to spend on TV. Someday,
this is complicated, and this is before Excel spreadsheets. How did your parents keep track of all this?
It was on the back of the scrap paper. My mom was the master of it, and she had all 5 names across the top. And it was a running point tally. And if you didn't have any tickets, they were called, because they used to be paper tickets when this first started. If you didn't have any tickets, you couldn't watch TV. So there was screen time being lost there. But anyway, we're not quite so sophisticated, but we do use fines but I think fines don't work unless you also do allowance, because the kids has to care about money. And that's this is terrible. We're talking about, we got to get it where it hurts. Sometimes we just want to we need to stop the behavior. So we're like, we're going to get, what would hurt them? Can we stop the screens? Can we take the money? So we have started fining for messes left in the bathroom, like toothpaste on the counter or the toilets unflushed or
How much for a wet towel on the floor? Asking for no.
Oh, it would probably be $1. That's the standard fine these days.
Right. An hour. That's how much I earned in babysitting. That'd be an hour of babysitting time back then.
Well,
I know that's today's rate. So I mean, the dollar that you're charging them now is not you, but
it's tough because will they be able to get a job this summer? I don't know. The fine has to kind of match what they can afford to pay and all this stuff. But they can avoid getting the fine by not doing the behavior. But also here's I don't fine for things that I haven't warned about. Like I've never said, if you leave your towel on the floor, you're going to get fined. So I wouldn't fine for that.
I feel like
they get a warning shot.
There might be, maybe on your chalkboard in your kitchen, there needs to be a fine, system. So everybody's been made aware.
There's not that many finable offenses right now, but I might add some more.
All right. Well, I would love to hear from some of our other parents, like what strategies they currently use that are effective, what doesn't work. Molly also said, my child nags us to death when no screens are issued. It's almost more peaceful with them busy on the electronics. I know.
We're punishing ourselves.
Right. And that's the thing. It's the same with grounding. I mean, think about it. Even back in our day, pre-COVID and everything, if my mom grounded us, it meant she was stuck with us at home, when it would have been probably much easier for her to say, okay, go, whatever, go do something else.
Totally.
So,
absolutely.
We all feel the pain. And I think what our kids maybe don't understand is that when we are levying some kind of discipline, the root of the word discipline, disciple, is to teach. We're supposed to be teaching, right. Not punishing.
Right.
There's a very big difference between discipline and punishment.
Right.
But it's so hard, like in the heat of the moment, like you're upset as a parent. You're like, I'm mad at you that you did this thing.
And you want control in a way too.
And that's that
which we can't have.
Against that, and that's understandable. They're trying to assert their independence, so they're going to buck the system. That is what happens. This is the whole dynamic of why the teen years are so challenging. We want them to grow and become independent, but they also really have not so great judgment. Speaking as casting my mind back to my 16-year-old self who got grounded, employed just like bad judgment upon bad judgment, and I wasn't a bad kid. I just did stupid stuff, and that's the way it is for a lot of our kids. And they truly are baffled, I think, sometimes when we're upset about it. Like, what did I do? I don't get it.
Right. Yeah.
We don't really have a lot of great history.
Tell us what you're thinking, what your dilemmas are, and if you ever have ideas for what we should chat about in a future week, drop those too. We love to get suggestions. Sometimes we even remember. Actually, I had to go back and look at the chat from last week because I was like, somebody had a great idea for what we were going to talk about today, but it was totally vanished from my mind. So I went back and looked, and lo and behold, it was a good idea. So for suggesting. All right. Shout out to Lori. Lori's joining us this morning too. Hi, Lori.
What'd she say?
We wish we would have fined our teen. Too late. Car keys. Oh, I haven't gotten there yet, but we'll take the car keys.
Oh, there's a great article that our publisher, our editor Sue, wrote about a physical fight she had with one of her kids over the car keys. We'll find it for you later and put it in the chat. You have to read.
We'll put it there because when they're big and they physically have the keys in their hand, they say, "I'm leaving. What do you do?" And she did not have her best moment, as she's admitting in that piece. So we'll share that.
But she learned from they both. I think they probably both learned something from it. Yeah. Teresa also said consistency is key, and it's hard when both parents don't follow through.
So hard.
A different topic is who gets to be good cop and bad cop in your house. If you're a 2-parent household, or if you're co-parenting with in a divorce, or even sometimes it's like the grandparents have one, you as the parent are holding the line and the grandparents are like, oh no, it's fine. Like when they were little and they would slip them.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I said no more cookies. Like, are you the same woman who raised me? What happened here?
And it's so hard too, because there's consistency on the rules. And then if the rules are broken, consistency on following through on the consequence too. So there's like so many aspects where it's hard to, if you're not on the same page, it can be hard to follow through.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, tell us what you want us to chat about next week. We're open to suggestions. We meet here every Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern and have coffee together. And sometimes we talk about things that aren't even related to this. Like next week, I want to talk about one of my favorite TV shows that I just finished, and I'm just devastated that I finished it. So
maybe we should have a what we're watching, what we're reading, what we're having fun with, whatever. We'll talk about it. Tell us if you want us to talk about that.
Yeah. It's spring. I feel like we could use a little lightness. So
Yes. All right.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Celebrate responsibly during your lockdown.
Okay.
I can't believe it's 2 St. Patrick's Days in a row that we are stuck at home, but we'll make up for it next year.
Yes. All right.
Be safe, everyone.
See you later, everybody. Bye.
Have a good week.